out of the pits. It's a funny pit exit here, Tony, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you could actually, if somebody has an incident, you could get hit quite easily.
Yeah, it is a bit of a strange one. Lots of tweets coming in. Thank you so much for your comments. Let's run through a couple of them. From Specutainment said, you wanted to know what we were up to. Well, we're getting set up to commentate on at FIA WEC Fuji Free Practice 1 and 2 for Radio Le Mans. Good luck, guys. Hope that goes well. And another one here from Dan's. Watching F1 Free Practice with my 7-month-old baby girl who won't sleep and loves watching the cars go around the track. Lovely to hear from you, Dan. There's lots of babies around the paddock and the BBC TV compound. Not here this weekend, but back home. No doubt keeping up a few partners, I should think. From TF141 Sparky saying, morning, with the new engine rules coming in, do we think more manufacturers will enter? Honda, VW have expressed interest. What about Ford? Tony, what do you think? Honda definitely in the news this week, weren't they?
I think it's a very interesting question because I think that's one of the reasons for formulating those rules the way they have done. You know, they want to attract some manufacturers back in, and you have to have a sort of green relevance these days to get the manufacturers in. But there were rumours that Honda bigwigs in Suzuka meeting people, and I think ultimately, that's obviously very good for Formula One, and they will follow that route. I know some of the existing manufacturers are a bit concerned that if they're supplying, 3 or 4 teams, somebody like Honda comes back and maybe supplies 1 or 2, then that's a formidable force. So maybe they have to look at minimum numbers of suppliers, something like that in future.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Just watching Michael Schumacher out there at the moment. Another one coming from Funky Jeff 77. Watching live practice 1 from Somerset. Work in the morning. Sorry, boss, I might be a bit crackered. Good luck, Jensen. Well, it comes from Jensen territory, of course, down there. So that's nice to have your input. And Gemma Louise tweeting back from good old Blighty, lying in bed watching the F1, managing to stay awake, looking forward to the Korean Grand Prix. Thanks, Gemma Louise, and I hope you do manage to stay awake for a little longer. One for you, Gary, now. A bit of a technical question here. It's from MP3 Ford, who says he's wondering whatever happened to the Williams flywheel curves. What would be the benefit? Why aren't we seeing it? That's actually from Matt in Cardiff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obviously disappeared as far as Formula One's concerned, but Porsche have been using a very similar system in conjunction with Williams on their car. And, it's about, I suppose Formula One is about developing stuff in a direction, because you obviously get to a sort of state where all of the developments sort of mingle between teams a little bit, battery technology, etc. So within the Formula One package, it's probably better to stay within the same sort of philosophy as everybody else, and you benefit from the development of everyone. But as far as the flywheel, I think it's called a hybrid system, flybrid system. I think Williams is still working with that, and they've been working with Porsche on it. Whether we'll see it in Formula One again, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Fair enough. Well, it's all electrical systems now in Formula One with the Kerr system, so not the flywheel, but as you've heard there, it's still very much around, and it's an important part of racing elsewhere. So from Tonino Bowie, from Aberdeen, Scotland. Love to watch F1, no matter what time of day or night. And with this championship battle, I don't want to miss a minute. Well, talking about the championship battle, Tony, 4 points now separate the man we were watching a moment ago, Fernando Alonso, looking very cool in his shades and in the back of the Ferrari garage, and Sebastian Vettel, just 4 points. And interestingly enough, only 4 laps in the lead separate them as well. They've led virtually the same number of laps, 4 laps different. Alonso's led 4 more laps than Vettel. It has suddenly got incredibly close, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a massive swing in Suzuka, and on the finest of margins can things turn, because if you look at actually what happened there, you might argue that Seb was very fortunate not to get a penalty after the qualifying incident where he held up Fernando inadvertently, and Verne did the same thing to Bruno Senna. He was given 3-place grid penalty, and yet Vettel got away with a reprimand. So you think, well, why? I mean, there has been incidents of different penalties this season, so both had precedents. But what was the explanation? And I know that actually BBC Sport Online's Andrew Benson, a long-time colleague of mine, did a lot of looking into that, and I think the reason there was a difference was that Sebastian, that happened when the yellows were out, and they cut him a bit of slack and said, okay, he wouldn't have been expecting someone on a hot lap. Andrew made a very, very valid point. Well, why not? Because some of them are doing one run and they have to finish the lap. And if he hadn't spotted it, the team should have told him. They got GPS and all the rest of it. So, had he got a grid penalty, you'd have had Webber on on pole, on the clean side, he would have gone. And the whole grid would have changed. Fernando would have been on the clean side. And I think that was Ferrari's point. They said he cost us a tenth or two, and the gap to Perez on the grid was 0.09, 900ths. So that would have put him fifth on the clean side, and it would have changed the whole dynamic of the start. So I think you've got to say that that was a good break for them.
Well, it's those sort of things that momentums of championships can change it for. Guido van der Garde there, just ready to come out. He's also out indeed for Caterham today, so he's another of the third drivers. Meanwhile, Jenny, I believe you are at Lotus, is that right?
Yes, I am down here. They're the team, I suppose, that have got the biggest changes this weekend. Well, the biggest changes that anyone's willing to admit to anyway in this game of chess that we love to call Formula One. As we've already said, they do have this Coanda style exhaust, which means they've got new coke panels, new exhaust exit panels, and they've had to fire protect the floor as well. So they've protected that against any problems that might occur because of the way that exhaust exit is. And they seem to be really trying to find something. They've